Bienvenidos amigas y amigos, it's your boy Darzus, and in all seriousness, I hope you're doing well. Undead Unluck chapter 174 was extremely thought-provoking, an amazing chapter out of Yoshifumi, and I've got a lot to say about it. But before we get into that, a quick update about the anime. Apparently next week we are going to be getting a reveal for the theme songs of the anime. Not sure if that means we're going to just get like a link to go listen to the songs, or if we're going to get a OP or yada yada yada. Nonetheless, you know I'll be covering that, keep an eye out for it, but let's get into it. 174. Not sure if y'all have been playing Street Fighter 6, but look at this hilarious moment from a set this weekend.
It don't cost nothing to show it.
I mean, it's free. Leave a like, a comment, subscribe if you're new here, but let's get into 174. We kick things off at the Iselt Hospital, and this is a really cool callback to last loop. If you remember Rip's last ask of Andy, it's to show up at the Iselt Hospital in October of 2015 to stop the tragedy with Layla. And although this is May, this is a really cool callback to the fact that, like, hey, we're here, we're holding up that promise, and like right now, let's get the job done. But I'd also seen a Reddit post that shed some more light on the Iselt Hospital. In Irish folklore, there is a tale of Iselt and Tristan, and this is maybe where Rip gets that last name from. Tristan loved Iselt, however he was not able to be with her because she was married to another man. Since he gets banished from this kingdom, he has to go on and live his life. However, on his journey, he gets married to another woman named Iselt, and I think that's super interesting. Obviously, as in his arc, he is looking between two twins, although he obviously has his eyes fully set on one, as we see during this chapter. As I believe, and as we saw last loop, I think the truth behind Rip's arc is finally realizing that, like, you gotta love the people who have always been there with you and for you. But the characterization of Rip to start off this chapter is amazing. The way he truly embellishes and just personifies the knight in shining armor, this guy who is Prince Charming coming to save the day for everybody, it's just unbelievable. In his off time, Rip is making vitamin candy so the nutrient deficient kids are always healthy. And when he finally gets a second to rest, he's out here ordering ponies, setting up games with Layla so he can quite literally be a knight in shining armor riding through on a pony, the bucking bronco, and it's beautiful. And I kind of want to hammer this home that it really makes sense for Rip to kind of be this all-around amazing doctor. So last loop, whenever Rip started studying a lot to cure Layla's disease, he repeated a quote from Hippocrates. He said a doctor has three weapons: their words, their herbs, and their scalpel. And I think Rip has obviously mastered the words. He's able to gamify all of the interactions with children, with Layla even, and it kind of shows that through his entire life, he's been thinking of how can I be the best doctor? How can I hone every aspect of being a doctor, from like my bedside manners, all the way down to just like, you know, getting the job done with a scalpel, with the medicine he's providing to everybody. And it's cool to see all of that kind of amalgamate into Rip being what he is right here, this literally the embodiment of swagginess. And obviously him coming through in a bucking bronco was hilarious, and the fact that Latla was there to see it all, beautiful. But I'm not going to go too in depth on all of the slice of life this chapter. It's been the highlight of this loop, and if I wanted to talk in depth about all of it, it would make these videos really long. Nonetheless, I like that Yoshifumi kind of answered my questions from last chapter. I was a little bit confused as to why Latla didn't really show any sort of affection towards Rip, especially during those questions of like, hey wait, we didn't do anything last loop even? It makes sense that already the question of marriage, or the idea that Layla and Rip are going to get married, has already been on the table. Latla tells Rip and Layla that June 6th is the date that you guys should go through with it. And this is kind of scary, but it's amazing. Apparently Latla, all these predictions that she makes are absolute. We know that that may be something to do with, I know her innate skills, but her negator ability. But it's interesting to see at the end of the chapter how like Rip tells Layla, believe in Latla's predictions, because I'm 100% sure if she said June 6th, then on this day, May 3rd, you're not going to die. And it makes sense because like Fuuko Izumo's here and some cool stuff happened. I love whenever you shoot Yoshifumi, just be writing. This dude's a goat. The fact that Yoshifumi had the audacity to make Layla's sickness come to its climax as Rip is proposing to her was kinda crazy to me. It was so sad, however, Fuuko's here to save the day, what do you freaking think? But here's where I started to question Fuuko for the first time in Loop 2 very heavily. I have been kind of, letting her mistakes or any of her decisions go to the wayside. I understand that being a leader, it's hard to do, and it's hard to do it for your first time and make the decisions which are necessary in order to have people end up at their happiest goal, like avoid those tragedies as she's trying to do. However, the fact that she pulls up on Rip at the end of this chapter with the Blade Runner artifacts was really weird to me. So we're all aware of the physical and mental strain which artifacts put on their bearers, and that is just literally touching them. If you touch an artifact, it's a lot, it could literally send you into like a shell shock state, but implanting them onto your body is even different. And Fuuko kind of bringing out these Blade Runner artifacts, maybe we'll figure out they're different and they just get to like wear them this time, but as we know, Rip had to cut off his limbs in order to install those artifacts. So you just pulled up on a doctor and said, hey buddy, cut off your legs and put something on them. Like, that's kind of crazy. Even thinking back to last loop, one of Latla's only wants of Rip was, hey, next time I see you, I hope you don't have these freaking artifacts on you. And like, that was a cute thing. I was hoping the same thing, maybe he could avoid putting bunch of gold-plated arms and legs on himself, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Maybe he'll avoid having to put the arm one on. However, it is still just kind of crazy to me that Fuuko's first thought before this dude maybe has even manifested on repair was just, hey buddy, time to put on the Blade Runners. It's weird. It's weird. Maybe I'm like thinking outside of the box, but like let me know how y'all feel, because I genuinely was confused to see Fuuko just immediately think of Blade Runner rip up, because that's just a lot of stress, a lot of strain to put on an individual. And whenever we're talking about avoiding the tragedies, I think we could have done it without this. We have a very strong union already. Like, we have freaking Void, we have freaking Shin, we have freaking Fang, we have freaking Gina, we have Nico and Ichiko building stuff. We have Fuuko Izumo, the beacon of hope. I don't know. It's just an odd decision for me, Fuuko. We have a lot to talk about still, because the master rules have finally been mentioned once again. Uma sick is the cause of Layla's sickness, and this makes so much sense. Last loop, you saw Rip go to the depths, like really try to achieve everything he could in order to avoid Layla dying from her sickness. We knew that some world-class cardiologists were working on her heart, but even they said that this was just something uncurable, which really doesn't make sense. If you have all of the money in the world, as you can really look up online, money can like cure illnesses, money can cure disease, and really, you would imagine for a young woman like Layla could have prolonged her life. So the cause of this disease being an Uma, something which probably can't be cured unless it, gets offed, makes a lot of sense. However, the master rules have finally been mentioned once again. We have not really even seen this talked about since what? Chapter 107 maybe? 97 maybe? I don't really remember. It's one of those two. However, Unruin is talking about it, and let me give you a quote from what he said. The master rules imposed by God hold no errors after all. Let us create a place. Join us, those who have surpassed death. We will create a place devoid of the need for impure vessels, built with the tidings that you have ushered in over the course of all eternity. The 101 Master Rules. The 101 Master Rules. And right now, during this loop, Uma Sick is being claimed to be the 10th of said Master Rules. And just, the target of this quest. But what does this mean, dog? What does this mean? We're getting interested now. I'm back in the Undead Unluck lore. I'm hype. I'm hype, Yoshifumi. Thank you for, literally just throwing a couple words in, because see how my brain thinking. I really wonder if the 101 Master Rules is a set comprised list of Umas, because if you think about it, Fuuko has let a lot of Umas off into the world already by this point. She skipped, 26 times forward during her first big time skip, and then this most recent one was another, 15, 16? That is a lot of different Umas out in the world, and is that already a subset of the quote-unquote set 101 Master Rules? Or another thought I had thought of. Yeah, sorry if I'm getting confusing, I'm ranting. Are the 101 Master Rules 101 specifically strong in maybe, concept type Umas? Something like that, maybe? Something, it doesn't even have to be concepts, but just 101 set very strong Umas. Because we know that there's some rather out there Umas. Think of something like Crab, I don't know. Something that really doesn't fit the mold whenever you're talking about like Uma Twister, freaking Uma Spoil, Uma Burn. Maybe Umas such as Crab, or smaller, lesser rules, aren't part of the 101 master rules, but like, what is it? What is it? And it's funny that like Unruined had even mentioned the 101 master rules potentially being Umas now that Fuuko has mentioned that this master rule is an Uma. That gives credence to the idea that like Luna and Sun are both colluding to some extent. You know what I mean? Because like these master rules, they're not going to be on the Earth. It's being talked about on an artifact. Artifacts were given to us by Luna. Thus, there has to be some sort of collusion on like the artifacts and I don't know, bro. Maybe. And this is what I'm going to do because this chapter was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. However, it got my brain moving. And it made me really just think about the master rules, most of all. The RIP developments are interesting, the Fuuko developments are obviously interesting, but if you want to hear me talk more about the master rules in a more, you know, I don't know, like scripted, like actually think about it and write my words down type of way, it'll still be a short video. Just give me like 20 likes, I don't know, because I don't really want to edit this that long. Probably been making this pretty long, so I'm out of here right now, but I don't know, that's what I go.